All right, welcome everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. This is our presentation on building a learning management system in SharePoint using Infowise Ultimate Forms. Okay, my name is Will Cooper and I am a SharePoint solutions developer, and I do a variety of things. I do SharePoint consulting. I do all my work using the Ultimate Forms tools. I also run an additional SharePoint tool called SharePoint Dashboards. If you stick around after our main presentation, I'll tell you a little bit more about that. And also, I have a YouTube channel where I provide instructional videos on how to do cool things in SharePoint. So I do all kinds of things in the Microsoft space. A little bit about Infowise. Our philosophy is to make things simple and easy to work with. And also we like to make sure that we keep improving. We want to make our product better, and we're always looking to add more functionality and improve how things work with our product. Ultimate Forms is an add-in for SharePoint, which is a comprehensive toolkit that you can add to SharePoint, where you can build out forms and processes with no code. So you don't have to be a developer. You don't have to do any programming or anything like that. Just some ground rules for today. I am recording the presentation. This will be later posted on YouTube. Another thing you may like to know is the template that I'm going to demonstrate is going to be made available for download through our software interface later today. So you can actually lay your hands on what I'm going to show and try these things out for yourself by downloading this template in the Infowise site later today. If you have questions or comments during the presentation, you can just do that through the GoToWebinar. We used to use that through the Microsoft Teams webinar interface by using the QA tool there, and so you can post your comments there. If you'd like to talk to us in person, we do provide that option in our website. You can go into our homepage at Infowise and click to sign up for demo if you want to do a follow-up after our meeting today. All right, so as I mentioned, these tools are available regardless of your version of SharePoint. So if you're using SharePoint Online, you're good to go. Or if you're using on-premise SharePoint, you can do the things that I'm going to show today. So regardless of which SharePoint version you're using, you can do the things I'm going to show in the presentation. So this is how I tend to visualize SharePoint. So there's a lot of possibilities, but out of the box SharePoint is a bit confusing, and it's not clear how to take advantage of it. And it's a bit bare bones in terms of having the functionality you need to build out solutions. And that's where Ultimate Forms comes in. And by having this toolkit in your environment, it lets you do a lot of awesome things, which you're going to see in my presentation today. Let's talk about the focus of the presentation, and that's setting up a learning management system. There's a lot of features and functionality, things that we think about when wanting to have a solution to provide learning management for an organization. And so there's lots of considerations, but there's some key factors that we want to keep in mind. And regardless of whether you have a simple learning management system or something more sophisticated, it absolutely should have these features and should work in this manner. So naturally, the first thing is we want to make sure that it can do a nice job of organizing learning materials. So predominantly, we're thinking about documents, whether those are PDFs or Word documents, PowerPoint, and then the videos. We're in a day and age where a lot of us watch YouTube videos to learn how to do things, or watch videos that are posted on our company site. And so we need to make sure that our tool is going to do a good job of organizing that. We want to make it easy to find the content, easy to consume, and go through that. So that's vital. We need a way to be able to assign content to students. So if I have an employee that I'm managing and I need to make sure they do some training, I need to be able to assign that easily. So ease of use is a major factor. Now, once I've done that, we need to be able to track it. So, it's one thing that I've just asked somebody to do some training. We need an easy way to make those updates and see that they've actually gone through the content that I've assigned to them, those training modules, and we can check those off, do a sign off to know that that was actually completed. And in combination with that, we might like to do some quizzes or tests just to test comprehension, provide a little bit of accountability, and provide more of a complete process to make sure that, no, they're not just checking the boxes to say they went through that content, they actually did learn it. So the test can help to ensure that they retained what's in the training modules. We're going to need a way to be able to grade those tests and make sure those were complete as well. And then of course there's going to be a sign off that would come with that as well. So all this needs to be easy to use, needs to be streamlined. We need to have an interface that's very intuitive, both for maybe teacher who's leading a class, or somebody who's an employee. Regardless of your role in the organization, you're going to need to be able to do that. And we need to have a central dashboard. One thing I didn't list on here that's going to be important, we need to be able to have the ability to schedule classes. So I might need to do a web session where I'm going to present and offer training to people in my organization, or it may be in person. I need to schedule that at a location, have people be able to sign up, and then keep track of attendance, that type of thing. So I'm going to get out of my PowerPoint deck because I think sometimes those are a little bit boring, and we'll drop right here into SharePoint. And once again, just a reminder, if you have any questions during the meeting, just use the Q&A section in the webinar interface. Okay, so what we're going to do first of all is go through and look at this tool from a user perspective. So we're going to go to the different lists and libraries, take a look at how they work, and see how this comes together. And after that, what I'm going to do is kind of show you how this is set up and what the back end, if you will, works, how it works, how you can configure it, and how all these things can be configured. So you can make adjustments, and you could do this in your organization as well. So let's begin with looking at the content, and that's really the thing you should focus on first. So in terms of initially setting up your site, you're going to want to have a library for training documents. As I mentioned, this could be your Word documents, your PDFs, your PowerPoint decks. All those things would tend to go in here. So this is just using regular out-of-the-box SharePoint functionality where you can just drag those into a library. But what you'll find out is there are other parts of our system that are going to connect into this. We did add a thumbnail preview, which will show the cover page of whatever the training document is. So that just kind of makes things handy. Naturally, we want to set up permissions on this. So you'd have some admins responsible for updating or uploading documents. So you'd set this up so that most users would have a read level access to your documents. So nothing too unfamiliar for most of us who've used SharePoint. This is going to be pretty standard, regular SharePoint functionality. One additional thing you're for sure going to want to have is a category for these. So that just lets me, when I have hundreds of documents, allow your users to, filter down and focus what they're looking at to find things easily. So nothing particularly remarkable, at that stage. So you need that. The other part is videos. So let's go to the videos. And this does look a lot different than what you will normally get in SharePoint. Just like the documents, we want to be able to upload video files to a library in SharePoint. And typically those would be MP4 files, or in my case I have MKV. I think there's some other supported video formats, but those would be most typical. So in order to get this nice interface for users, we kind of have an admin view, which I'm in, which is our just all documents view. And then I have the video cards, which is the nice user-friendly interface that's going to appeal to your users. This is in some ways mimicking what I might see, in YouTube or something like that. And, as you might expect, I can just click on the tile and my video will start right. So is important. And then we want to have, images, like a preview image, so I can browse through these. I'm going to kind of show you how this is set up. Notice there's also a description under it. And we also have the total amount of time that's going to be in the video. So the way that's configured, we have a custom form after you load the video, and you can add some of these attributes. In order to make that look nice, I just need to make sure I provide a description of that training video that I've loaded, and then I just enter the time. You know, it'd be nice if it auto-detected that we don't know exactly, but a very easy step. You just, you know, look at your video, check that time, and just enter it here, and then that allows us to have the nice interface. And then this image is just drag and drop. You drag and drop the preview image, and that gives you the ability to make your main user view, which is the video cards, look nice. So having a nice looking video library for training videos, that would be very good. And as I mentioned, that's included in this template, which you can download and tap right into. All right, so that's kind of what you do as far as loading documents and videos. You can just drag and drop them into this library. So let's go into our training list. We're going to look at that next. And this is where we're going to get to what I describe, which is assigning the training. Okay, so let's say I've got somebody new joining the team, and I need to make sure they review some videos and training documents to help them get going. So this is just like a regular SharePoint list in terms of you just can add a record, and I'm a manager who's going to assign this. New IT team member training, you just give a helpful description, and I've got a new team member that I want to assign some training to. So what I'm going to do is just select their name. So let's see who we got here. I'll give this to Avi, and I'm going to pick a date that it's due. Notice the assigned date is defaulting to the current date, so I don't need to change that. We've got a status, which is assigned, and now I just am going to set when this is due. So I'm going to say that Avi needs to get this training done by January 30th. Okay, now I've got this ability to link to those libraries that we were just looking at, but I don't have to go over to those libraries to do that. I can just do that right here in my custom form. So I just click my add button, and I can add up to 3 documents or 3 videos that I want to be done as a part of this training that I'm assigning. So I'm going to assign this one to him, and then I'll add one more. We'll do accounting advanced, and notice it's going to link off to that document. And notice also there's a toggle button next to it. It says document 1 complete, document 2 complete. That's for our team member to check off when they've actually, you know, read through this document, that type of thing. Let's go ahead and add a link to a video as well. All right, so I just do the same thing. Now this one's linked over to the video library, so I just select the video that I want them to watch as a part of this assigned training, and that's it. You see that we've got 3 modules assigned, and that's all I have to fill out. So think about ease of use. I didn't have to do anything complicated. I didn't need to go anywhere else. I have a very easy way to assign training. So there I've got an assigned status. Okay, so now with our tool, you'll have an automated email notification. So that's automatically going to email Avi and say, hey, you've been assigned some new training by the person in the assigned by field, which is me. And then at that point, our employee knows that they're responsible to complete this training. It shows them their training date, gives them some instructions that says, hey, mark when the modules are complete. I forgot to mention, once the links are loaded, you can toggle that switch just to kind of collapse that interface so we just see the links. So here's my links to my document. So as the person assigned, I can just click on those, and you know, it's just going to open up the PDF in my browser, or of course I can download it too. That's fine. And I am responsible to check those off as I go. And so when I check this off, notice at the bottom, it automatically is keeping up with how many modules did I complete. And it's doing an auto calculation. So 2/3 of them, so we get 67% for my progress. And you'll see how that helps, because on my main dashboard for trainings, I can see how much of that content did I get through. So Avi's gotten through 2/3 of the assigned modules for his training. So he's working his way through. So as a manager, I can see that there's progress. You know, if I saw no progress on there coming up on the due date, then of course that would be a red flag. Now, continuing on to show how that's kind of wrapped up and complete, once this is, you know, fully complete, we get 100% progress, and that can be submitted. And now the manager can circle back around and sign off on that. So I can say, okay, it looks like Avi checked off all the things I asked him to do. So at that stage, I can, you know, maybe touch base with him, review it with him, and then I say, okay, well, that sounds fine. I've got some other statuses I could use. I could use in progress, hold, canceled, etc. But I'm going to go ahead and mark it complete. And there's one final thing I can do as the manager, and that's where I can sign off and say, yes, I reviewed this and I'm okay that Avi has completed this content. And I'll show you how that updates our dashboard. Notice our progress bar is up to 100% complete. And also, we've got the signature field on here. So I've got a sign off that indicates that, you know, as the manager, I signed off and he did complete that. So it's very easy when I look at this dashboard of all these assigned trainings, I'm going to be able to tell, you know, which ones haven't been completed yet and which ones are done. So that's very important. So that's how we're going to do trainings. Okay, let's look at another concept, and that's classes. You know, certainly there's going to be key trainings where you're going to have groups. They're going to meet in a classroom or over the web, and you're going to have somebody presenting and that type of thing. So along with this training content and documents, which is really self-guided training, you're actually going to have class type training, of course, and you need to have an ability to do that as well. So I've got another list, which is classes, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new class. So I'm going to say human resources training 1, and I'll say that I'm the teacher. And what I want you to think about is ease of use as I'm doing this. How much time does it take me? How much information do I need to fill out? How hard is it to understand what needs to happen here? This is an intro to new HR team members. Okay, just in the interest of time, I'm going to kind of repeat that. All right, so what I need to do is pick from the date picker. I'm going to go ahead and say the class is going to be on Thursday, February 1, and we need to pick a start and an end time for that. So, so Thursday, February 1, and it's going to be, we're going to say this one's going to be a 2-hour long class, so that ends at noon. And then I need to pick the class type. So that's either in person or on the web. Now, if I pick web, notice that the interface asks me for the web meeting link. So I could paste in my Teams meeting link. In my case, I'm going to say it's in person. In that case, it's going to check to make sure I put the location. So I'll put conference room B. And then now this is where people sign up. So notice at the top it says human resource training, sign up below, and then it says sign up here. So this is just a multi-person field. So people can come here and enter their names and add to the list. It'll take as many as we need. And, you know, that can just grow and grow, and we can have as many people as we want signed up for the class. Now, after the class, of course, you know, your person teaching should take attendance as far as who was actually there to give credit for those people. And then that is going to be entered in the attended field later on. Also, I can do an attachment. Maybe I have a document or something that I want to provide to the people attending the class ahead of time. I can go ahead and do that. Now for this dashboard, notice we do some things to make it a little more user-friendly. We've got the description on the right, and we've got the class type showing up, and what's very prominent, of course, is the start and end time. Obviously, we want people to be aware of that. We don't want people to say, I didn't know when it was, so we kind of have some formatting to dress that up, and also we make this user-friendly by using some special column formatting to make the teacher profile stand out. So that just kind of makes it look cool. And then we've got this green sign up button. So our students can very easily understand, oh yeah, I want to sign up for this training. They just click in the green button to sign up, go in the form, and they can add their name. And now we've got a class schedule system. And of course, this can be ordered chronologically and easy for people to find and sign up for classes. Okay, so we've got one more list that we're going to take a look at that I mentioned earlier, which is tests. So All right, let's, maybe I want to challenge the person I signed the training to just to make sure they actually went through the content. So maybe I'm going to make a short task just to ask some questions. Like I say, provide some accountability to ensure that they're, they actually know what was presented, that type of thing. So this interface, the way that you can make a test, you can either do a new test or you can copy a test to reuse questions that you did on a previous test. So in my case, I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of this onboarding review test that I already gave to another student. And I just click on check next to the item, and then I've got this special action I set up to copy the test. And what you're going to see is that it just makes a copy of that record, but there's no one assigned to it yet. So it's just a way to speed up the process if I'm giving a test that I've given to somebody else before. Okay, so I need to enter the test date, and then I'm going to assign it to somebody. So I'm going to give this to Avi, who claims that he has gone through the documents and video that I assigned to him. So I want to find out how closely he was paying attention. Okay, so there we go. Now, you'll notice that the score column showed up. This is for grading later, and it will only show to the user who is in the assigned by. So the student doesn't have the ability to score their own test. Okay, so that's it. I'm ready to go. I can go ahead and, save this information, and then it's ready for Avi. He's going to get an email for this, and then he's ready to go in and fill out the answer. So here's my questions, which can be, changed per test. And then, like I say, in the interest of time, I'm just going to kind of fill these in quick. Okay, so he's going to have those in there, and then we can go through, and that once he submits that, it'll say submitted. You can see there's an orange submitted status, and that clues the person in who assigned that task. So they can go and get their answer key, and they're going to give a score for these. So they're just going to look at the answers, and then, maybe scoring's on a scale, whatever you want. For this one, we're just going to say that everyone's worth 1 point. And I'm checking his test. He missed that one. He missed one other one, and then that. So in the bottom, you can indicate how many points are possible. So it looks like Avi got 8 points. There were 10 possible. It's going to auto-calculate the percent for me, and then when I'm done, I just click Set as Graded. Okay, so there we go. We've got a percentage bar. It looks like we got 80%, got 80% on this test. It's graded. So nothing too fancy here, just a simple way to create some tests and ensure that our users are actually going through the content. This is what it looks like when you very first create the test. You can enter whatever you want for the questions in here and save, and you could define a new test for use for your students. So this is just another little mini tool if you want to use this companion content to, as I say, make sure that people really are going through the documents, going through the videos, and ensuring that they're accountable to that. So that's how you can do that. Now, one thing you may be thinking about is, well, I don't want my students to see everybody else's content, that type of thing. And you can handle that through filter views. I did create some of those. So notice I've got one for my training. And this just goes to the training list, but it's filtered to me. Just trainings that have been assigned to me. And then also I want to go to my tests, same thing. This is just going to show the tests that are assigned to me. So you can do that. If you need to, you can get a little more advanced. If you want, you can get more into kind of item level permissions in SharePoint if that's necessary. It just kind of depends on the extent of your requirements. Okay, and just a reminder, if you guys have any questions, just enter them in the Q&A. I'm going to get to those in a moment, so please don't despair if I haven't answered your question just yet. Now I want to switch gears a little bit. I want to break off from the user perspective. I want to help you understand what it's like to configure these forms and make adjustments for your organizations, because it is pretty flexible, and I want you to understand, how is it that these forms work like this? How are you able to set that up? So if I go into a list, notice in the command bar, I've got this design button, And now you're going to see the Ultimate Forms interface. This is the main toolbar command screen for Ultimate Forms. And the very first time you use this, the thing that you should focus on is Form Designer. SharePoint doesn't have a custom form builder out of the box. There is a other tool in the platform, which is Power Apps, but it's very developer oriented, very steep learning curve, not a fast, fluid form building experience. In contrast, this one allows you to drag and drop controls in the form and do things like have multi-column layouts, which you can adjust very easily. So you can truly customize this experience to have the look and feel that you want, to do the layout the way you want, whatever makes most sense to you. So if I want to do kind of a more conventional, gray background, I can just set the background color like that, and you can see what you see is what you get. So it's really easy to work within this interface. So as you look through the functions that I'm showing, all of that's configurable. It's adjustable so that you can adapt what I set up in this template to match the requirements in your organization, make those tweaks, and make it specific to what you need to do. So that's the Form Designer interface. And in this interface, I can do things like set rules. If you remember, I did this links loaded toggle where I wanted to change how these links looked. And what I was able to do is do some permissions rules where I say this is writable if links loaded is no, but if they're loaded, basically I want to put those in a read mode because I don't want to see those add buttons cluttering up the interface after I've already loaded everything. So setting up rules is really key to being able to do dynamic forms. That's a key part of the interface. Here's another area where I'm calculating the progress percent. I've got a formula in here which is automatically calculating, which of the modules were completed. So I can put a formula in there and then compare that to how many were assigned. And then I just do some math here. Modules completed times 100 divided by modules assigned. That's how we're getting a nice percentage calculation. And also I can put an exception in there. I said I don't want it to do that unless there's more than 0 in both. So I don't want to have some silly 0 divided by 0, something like that. We don't want to have that going on. So we can easily make those adjustments. So Form Designer is the, kind of the first most awesome thing that you can interact with. And I did training or custom forms for all of them. So it's the same thing. So if I go into, classes, for example, all I could do is go to that SharePoint list. I can go to the design screen. I can go to Form Designer, and I can just go right into the interface. And like I say, what you see is what you get. You can drag the controls around. I can do things like, put in custom content in here and very easily do things like set the colors, that type of thing, if I want it to look a little bit different. However you want it to look. Let's look at one of the actions, because you can do automation for things like email alerts or even provide user-facing actions. And the way I'm able to do that is going to the Actions interface. So in tests, you'll recall I had an ability to copy a test because I don't have to keep retyping the questions if it's a test I've done before. And in order to set that up, I created this action, copy test. And I want to show you how easy it was for me to configure that. So all I did is select this special create list item action. And I just simply went in here and I said, go ahead and create me another list item. And my copy will basically, it says question 1, basically copy over from this current item I'm copying from the value that's in question 1 through 10. Also get whatever's in the points possible. We want to start out with status assigned and then the name of the test. That's all I had to do. And these are all just pickers. I can just pick from here, drop down. It was literally just that simple. And now I've got this function so that anybody at any time can just copy a test and just work very easily. So that's very nice to work with. So let me pause for a second. I'm gonna look at some of the questions before I move on to the next part of the presentation. I appreciate everybody's interest and patience on that. Corey has a question about multi-choice for answers. Certainly, Corey, we definitely have options on that. In fact, there's some really cool options with number fields where you could have a slider. This is all very configurable. I kind of showed the most simple example, which are just test answers. But if you want to have a drop-down picker, all that's configurable from Form Designer. So this is something where you can take this existing template and just make adjustments if you want to go more towards like multi-choice tasks, that type of thing. There's a question of, is this in standalone SharePoint Online? Not sure what you mean. SharePoint Online is Microsoft 365, so it is available to all SharePoint Online users. So hopefully that answers your question. As far as verification, you actually looked at watch. That's really the purpose of the tasks. At the end of the day, we're just making the videos available to the users. So the verification really needs to come via manager review or testing. That would be my recommendation. That is a little bit of a tricky thing, but even if you try to use different mechanisms to check, at the end of the day, you know, if somebody's determined to, you know, cheat past the content, the only way you can really check them on that is to test them on their knowledge. So that is the best thing to do. Okay, good questions. Keep thinking about that. I will answer more questions if you have any more as we go on. So let me mention this is available after the presentation today, and I want to show you how you can get that. First, you want to download the Ultimate Forms app. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. And once you have, you can come in here. You're going to click on Solutions Catalog, and then in that screen, click Infowise Webinars. You can see my webinar from last month. This was about an approval system. You will see it as the first tile, the one I'm doing today, which will be learning management. So that's where you're going to go to download everything that I showed you in this presentation. If you don't have Ultimate Forms yet, it's easy to get. You just go to InfowiseSolutions.com and click on that big blue button on the home page. Says try now for free, and then you can click on install now. There's a little wizard you can run, and that will give you our full software. It's not limited in any way except that it will time out after 30 days. So that's one thing I think that's cool. When you do try our software, you have our entire software. You can explore all of the features and functionality to make sure you know exactly how it works before you make a commitment. Another thing is if you have questions, if this is something where you have some concerns, you're not sure how it would work in your environment, or you have a specific project you want to do, then you should use our request a demo form. We'll actually set up a web meeting with you and talk to you face to face, so you're not stuck behind the Q&A like in our webinar. We're very happy to talk to you, so make sure you take advantage of that if you'd like to talk to us. There are a lot of resources on our site that can help you learn. I would encourage you to take a look at our tutorials section under resources. And the very first time you're building forms, I would recommend doing our Kickstart training. And you can either do the video if you wish, if you are a video learner, or if you like to follow written instructions with screenshots, we have it presented in both ways. So that's a great place to begin as a new user for Ultimate Forms. So hopefully you can take a look at that. If you do go out and get Ultimate Forms, if you really want to ramp up on the product and you want some very appropriate for our presentation today, if you want instructor-led training, we do have that available. So if you click under resources and training, there is your instructor-led training. We'll schedule web sessions with you and your team members, walk you through, answer all your questions about Ultimate Forms, and help you ramp up even more quickly. So that's another thing worth checking out. That's really concluding our main presentation as far as looking at the learning management system. My general recommendation to you is to download this template from our site, and you can interact with this and try the things I showed today. And at that point, you can begin to adapt those forms to your environment, or alternatively, you could use this as a reference. You could start up a second site and then go back and forth between the two sites to compare. And that way you could try to match the functionality of what we have here. So the next thing we're going to get into is to talk a little bit about SharePoint dashboards. What's that? Okay, so this is another tool. This is specifically for SharePoint Online, or if you have SharePoint Server Subscription Edition, it's also going to work for that. This is about user interface. And some of the things that you saw in the presentation today are templates from this site. So when you go to SharePointDashboards.com, you can go through here and you will see a gallery which shows all these tiles of previews of different things you can do in your SharePoint lists. And the first thing that you should do, like Ultimate Forms, you should try it out first just to see what it does and how it works. And you can go in here and just click on the 21 free templates. All you need to do is provide your name and email address and click sign up. You'll get your login and you will have access to the 21 templates shown here, which you can use unlimited without any restriction at all. If you like that and you go on, then you've got access to a whole bunch more. There's a total of 191 templates in here as of today. And with every one of these, there's a video tutorial. We talked about video training content. So there it is again. So you can go through here and find the thing that you're looking for in here. So let's find one of the ones we had today. We had video. And video cards template is one of the ones that was used as a part of this learning management system. So if you're interested in that template and you want to configure it, but maybe you want to change the look and feel and do something according to your own settings, you could do that through this site. The way that it works is that you configure your settings and then you can just copy and paste to SharePoint. This does not require any special installation of anything to do that. And this will work in combination with everything you would do with Ultimate Forms very nicely. So you can do all your custom forms and actions and all of the awesome functionality that's in Ultimate Forms. And on top of that, add some of these templates to make those dashboard views look even nicer. So something I hope you'll take a look at. Again, I'd recommend you start with the free sign up, and you can use some of the popular common templates we have. And then after that, if you're interested in taking a step up and really trying to do more and use all of those templates, there is a subscription available to you. Let me go back to questions and I will address any questions about the learning management system, Ultimate Forms, or SharePoint dashboards. There's a question about assigning training to a large number of people. You could do something through actions to copy that, but in general, this system is geared towards really a rapid setup of a form where you just pick an employee name, click through your pickers, pick their documents, hit set, and go. So it is meant to be one by one, but you could adapt this system to do that. There's a question about course certificates using a print template. I really like that question. I worked with a customer who wanted to do something like that. And yes, you could do something like that. So that may be something where you might design the certificate using our print template, and that can be converted to a PDF. So that isn't something I showed directly, but I'll explain to you where that is. And 100% you can do that. So if you go into our design screen, there is a really excellent print template system included with Ultimate Forms. You can create a Word template that can then be converted over to a PDF, which you could deliver to users as a certificate. It works very nicely. You don't have to learn anything crazy to do it. You can design your certificate in Microsoft Word, and it can be fully automated to where it would produce the certificate with your instructor and student's name on it, which you could deliver to them, just through automation. Like I say, you could click a button and say, make certificate, something to that nature. So that would be a really good idea. I liked that question. Auto scoring tests, Corey, that's certainly possible, and that would work best with a multiple choice, as you had alluded to. The example I gave was more like a free form text answer where you might get partial credit for questions. And I agree with your suggestion. If I was going to do a multi-choice test, most definitely that would be auto-scored. In that case, you would embed the answers into the form and make those accessible only for the teacher. That would be absolutely possible, and that would be a nice way to streamline a little bit more. All right, what other questions do you guys have about Ultimate Forms, learning management systems, or SharePoint dashboards? At this stage, I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording.